You know, that was uncalled for. She just made fun of my music. You know, you apologize.
It was hideous.
It's that petrol
It was hideous.
emotion. All right.
Hideous.
I got to do this monologue. Stop listening to you. All right. It's been blamed for shrinking sheep, increased shark attacks and acne, also cougar attacks, cow infertility, and insomnia in kids. No, not Dana's dog photos, but you're close. It's global warming, the cause of all things evil, including global cooling. Yes, global warming leads to global cooling, which then leads to more global warming, followed by cooling, then warming, until we realize it's all BS. The latest thing blamed on warming, prostitution. Democrats are demanding Congress to admit that climate change drives women to transactional sex for survival. Congresswoman Barbara Lee says food-insecure women makes them vulnerable to sex work. See, when things look bleak, people become desperate. I'm not talking about the sex workers, but climate change scam artists like Lee. Now that real science has shown no global temperature increases in 16 years, the panic is at full steam. So when one fear fails, they have to find another. It's sad that women would use other women having a hard time in rough places for this kind of stuff. The real goal, taking your money while pretending it's for the planet. And that's the real crime against women. It's people like Lee who burden hard-working women with horrible policies that sap them of their income. Forget climate change causing transactional sex. It's Congress that's out to screw you. But at least with real hookers, they don't pretend they love you. Dana?
I know a lot about hookers.
Oh, my goodness.
So glad you came to me first.
Prostitution is actually an issue in a lot of these countries that do have,
Yes,
problems.
Terrible.
But this is not helping them. They're actually, I mean, free markets and capitalism and introducing some kind of freedom to these countries would, but not taking American tax money and throwing it at global warming.
I call it the law of diminishing communications returns. Because now they have become so unhinged and crazy that they are actually hurting the cause that they say they care about.
Yeah, I think you're right. The fact is, Andrea, climate change scientists even admit there hasn't been the worldwide temperature. It's flatlined at 16 years. When are they going to start? Well, actually, will they start arguing that the coming ice age could lead to prostitution? Just change the argument.
This is their religion. And this is their end of the world scenario, doomsday scenario. They are getting absolutely crazy. And the science doesn't back it up. Even the New York Times, even Al Gore said, well, the science isn't exactly there. But never mind that. I've heard the left argue climate change causes violence. It incites violence in cities like Chicago because when it's warmer out, they go out and they kill people. Also, that causes economic downturn, which means that men who are out of work beat their wives.
Right, I remember that.
Everything in the book. So I guess in this down economy, under that rationale, we're to deduce that President Obama is encouraging prostitution and George Bush didn't because there were more jobs created. I mean, I would never make that leap because that's just bizarre.
Yeah.
And by the way, I thought liberal women supported a woman's right to be a prostitute. When you go to these now websites, they say, that's a job. Women can choose to do what they want with their bodies. I thought that was a good thing, liberal females.
Hey, Juan, we spend a lot of talking heads, hacks, politicians, you name it, talk about global warming, which could take the eye off the ball of terror, making us more vulnerable. So could you say global warming leads to more terror?
Yes.
I must say, this whole conversation, this whole segment has been so convoluted. I've just been trying to follow it. But I will say this. If your wife thinks it's okay for you to stay out all night, well, I guess
Then it must be global warming.
Yes, I think that's it. Global warming. It just warmed up the bed. No, I just think it's this whole thing. We've got a list here of things that are blamed on global warming, and I see here it's the death of the aspen tree, shrinking sheep, the end of the Caribbean coral, Eskimos fleeing their villages.
That is true.
I mean, at that point, it does weaken the argument.
Yeah.
But in response to my red-dressed friend, I will say, you know, like 90% of scientists say that global warming.
No, that's a Beckel Institute fact.
You've been reading Beckel's notes that he writes under the table.
Imagine if
What
it's the truth.
scientists are you talking about, though? They never have the second backup line. You ask them, what scientists? And they go,
Well, scientists.
I got to get to Media
Why is
Matters.
it
Hold
always
on.
90% too? Everything.
Yeah, because it's the truth.
No,
It's
it's
the
not.
truth.
Which scientists?
Oh, what do you want me to give you a list?
Yes, I do. Case closed. I got to get to there.
We can go. My only point is this. Remember, it was global warming until the flat line on the temperature, and then became climate change.
That's why everybody should support natural gas fracking.
Why do you have to swear? All right. Gosh, we had such a clean show. You're such an awful person. First you make fun of my music, and then you swear.
Frack, frack, frack.
Terrible. All right.